Good morning, everyone. It's Mrs. Cardos, and welcome back to another math video. Today, we're going to be learning how to add integers using a number line. So grab your notes or just some paper and pencil and follow along. And as we go along, don't be afraid to pause the video, try some problems, and then start the video back to check your answers. Our learning target for today says that students will be able to add integers using a number line, and as usual, we're going to demonstrate this by successfully completing some practice problems. To start with a quick review, integers are a set of numbers consisting of all the negative whole numbers, all the positive whole numbers, and zero. Remember, we cannot have decimals or fractions as integers. They have to be whole numbers. And here is our visual just to remind us. Notice there are no decimals or fractions on the number line. Remember, when we're counting on the number line today, to find the distance between 2 points, we're going to make sure we count the hops or the spaces, not the black lines between them. For instance, on this one, if I only count the black spaces, the black lines, it looks like there are 4. The distance is 4, but if I actually count the hops or the spaces in between, we'll see that it's 5. So make sure you're counting the hops or the spaces. So let's begin. Adding integers can be thought of as walking forwards and backwards on a number line. So we're going to always start at 0, just like we would if we're trying to graph on a 4-quadrant grid. We're going to always start at 0, and if a number is positive, we're going to move forward on the number line, and if a number is negative, we're going to move backwards on the number line. So forwards would be this way, backwards would be this way. Forward to the right, backwards to the left. So let's do an example. And if you want to write this down in your notes or pause, this would be an excellent example for you to have in your notes. So the example says 5 plus negative 3. Now remember, this parentheses right here doesn't really do a whole lot. It just separates that plus sign from that negative. We're going to start at 0. And the first number in the problem is positive, 5. So we're going to move forward 5 spaces on the number line. And you can see my little figure there has hopped forward 5 spaces on the number line. And then the second number in the problem is negative 3. So the little person is going to jump back 3 spaces on the number line. And where do they wind up? They wind up at 2 on the number line. So 5 plus negative 3 is equal to 2. Forward 5, backwards 3, I'm going to wind up on 2. So let's try another practice problem. Pause the video, try it yourself using the number line, and then if you need to, you can restart the video. Okay, so I'm going to draw it. I'm just going to use straight arrows and not the hops, just to save a little bit of time here. So the first number says negative 7. So I'm going to start at 0, and I'm going to go backwards 7. And then the next number says negative 3. So I'm going to go backwards 3 more. And where do I wind up? I wind up at negative 10. Okay, so if I hop backwards 7 and then I hop backwards 3 more, I wind up at negative 10. If you got that one right, make sure you give yourself a check. If you didn't get that one right, make sure you change your answer. I never want you to have the wrong answer on your paper, especially not in your notes. All right, here's another example problem. Take a minute, try this problem. Use the number line if you need it, and then start the video again. Okay, so we're going to start at 0. The first number is negative. So I'm going to go backwards 4. And then the second number is positive 5. So I'm going to start where I was on negative 4. And I'm going to count backwards 5 and see where I wind up. So if I hopped backwards 4 and then I hopped forwards 5, I'm going to wind up on 1. So negative 4 plus 5 is equal to 1. Now, as we're doing all of these problems, make sure you're looking for patterns with the positives and the negatives on your problem and on your answer, because in a future video, we're going to come up with some rules for these. But for right now, I just would like you to be noticing any patterns that you might see. All right, here are some more practice problems. Take a minute, try those problems. Pause the video, and then when you're ready, restart it, check your answers. All right, I'm going to do each one of these, and I'm going to move fairly quickly, but always remember you can pause the video. So the first problem says positive 8, negative 2. So I'm going to start at 0. I'm going to go forward 8, and then negative 2. I would back up 2. I would wind up on positive 6. So for the first one, you should have positive 6. Second problem says negative 8. I'm going to start at 0. I'm going to go to negative 8. And then the second one, the second term in the second problem says negative 2. So I'm going to back up 2 more. And I'm going to wind up right here on negative 10. If you got it right, give yourself a check. If you didn't get it right, fix it, change it. Problem number 3 says negative 8. So I'm going to start on 0. I'm going to go to negative 8. And then the second number in the problem says positive 2. So I'm going to hop forward 2, and I wind up at negative 6. Check it or change it. And then the last one, most of you have been doing since kindergarten, so you definitely know the answer already, but let's just work it out like we've been doing all the others. I'm on positive 8, and then I'm going to move forward 2. My answer is positive 10. Now, these where I have all the same numbers, but the only thing that is changing are my pluses and my minuses, or my positives and my negatives, is a great place for you to look for any patterns. You'll notice I only have 2 answers. It's either going to be 10 or 6, but sometimes it's positive 10, sometimes it's a negative 10. So definitely look for those patterns. All right, pause the video, try this last set of practice problems. And when you're ready, come back. All right, I'm going to go ahead and start going over the answers. Make sure you're checking your work as you go along. So the first one says 1 plus negative 2. So I'm going to go forward 1. And then it says backwards 2. So I actually wind up, if I have 1 positive and 2 negatives, I wind up on negative 1. The second problem says negative 1 plus negative 2. So I'm going to go backwards 1. That's a tiny arrow, huh? And then I'm also going to go backwards 2 more. Where do I wind up? I wind up at, negative 3. Problem number 3, we're going to go backwards 1. And then we're going to go forward 2. We're going to wind up on positive 1. And again, the last one, you guys already know the answer, but let's practice it using our skills here with the number line. 1, and then I'm also going to hop forward 2 more. I'm going to wind up on positive 3. So notice my answers are either 1 or 3. And the only difference is whether or not it's positive or negative. So definitely kind of study those. Look for the patterns that you might see. And then in a future lesson, we'll talk about those patterns and any rules we might be able to make. So let's check our learning target for the day. Were we able to add integers using a number line? Absolutely. And here's our quote for the day just to motivate us as we move on. Education is the passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. And that quote is from Malcolm X. And if you're watching this video, you're definitely preparing. So you guys have a great day, and I'll see you in the next lesson. Bye-bye.